People will oftentimes want to know, how is it that by addressing something going on in their neck, is that actually going to help with their shoulder or their area in their middle of their low back or down at the low back right at their belt line? And there's actually two parts to this one here. Number one is that it is impossible to disconnect any one part of the body from any of the others. So whether we are moving our hand or our foot, it actually changes muscle tone, and it's registered up in the brain all of the way, so that it's always trying to shift and adapt to maintain us and allow us to be able to continuously stand upright. Now, in particular of importance then is what's happening in the upper part of our neck, because this is the area that is essentially supporting our head. It is supporting our brain. And as a consequence of that, if a person's ever had an injury to that particular area where the vertebra has maybe shifted just a little bit off of its normal center of gravity, and as a result of that, a person's head is not normally being supported, well, what is the body going to do? It's going to use its intelligence. It's going to recruit muscles to start making little changes, something like this. And so you'll start to see where a person's head might turn to one side or where one shoulder lifts up. But rather than staying isolated to just one spot there, what it's actually going to do is going to make compensations that kind of go all the way down the spine, kind of like a kinetic chain. And with that then, as part of that normal adaptation process, the consequence is that if you have had that postural adaptation occurring over a long period of time, be it months, years, maybe even decades, that's going to be causing changes to the muscles, the ligaments, and potentially even the nerve tension, to the point where seemingly out of the blue, a person may suddenly experience, pain between their shoulders, or just chronic tightness, or even something along the lines of a sciatica. And they can have localized treatment to try to, deal with the effects and all that. And it's really good and it's really important. But the caveat there is, as long as those muscles are still tight, as long as they are still asymmetric, as long as those postural problems are still there, those symptoms are going to continue. And so ideally what happens then is by, making that upper neck correction, it's going to allow the body to be able to unwind. And you may still need, additional bits of treatment down through your lower back or through your shoulders to deal with some of the compensations that have occurred over a period of time. But if your body has that ability to start unwinding from that, it means that by getting that upper neck corrected, it finally actually has the opportunity to do just that. Now, there's a second part to this, and it has to do with what the nature of muscle tension and pain actually is. And it seems to be that it's not always a consequence of what's going on in that particular part of the body, but can actually be an issue with the central nervous system itself. So that's either your brain or your spinal cord. Because if you've got a message that normally needs to be sent from, say, your lower back or from your shoulder, it ultimately has to go up to your brain by passing through your neck. And so if there is something going on in your neck that's distorted even a little bit, then the brain is actually getting a faulty signal from a different part of the body, and it's misinterpreting what's actually going on there. So another important thing for us to understand, that just because you may have pain in one part of your body does not actually or necessarily mean that is where the primary problem is coming from in the first place. So what's important is not simply a matter of treating the symptoms. That's very, very important. Do what you can to help a person out there. But what's arguably even more important is identifying what the underlying cause is. Because if you can address and identify what the underlying cause is, then you're not just treating the effects. Now you are actually making changes that are going to last in the long term, so that a person is not just, having to put things back together, every few days here, but really where a person is able to heal, where they're able to recover, where they're able to do all of the things in life that really matter the most to them. And that's the importance, why we look and start in the upper part of the neck.